Hello. Oop, we're in the same room, so I hear that. But let me, is my screen shared? Okay. Hi. Can everybody hear me okay? Hope so. Kara, thank you for inviting me to talk about the Indiana collection. Before I focus on the Indiana collection, let me scope out a little bit and talk about ISL, the State Library, more broadly. So the State Library has three main service branches. One you're probably familiar with is statewide services that support public libraries and their users, including but not limited to providing resource sharing network, Evergreen, Inspire, as well as professional development such as this for librarians and supporting public library directors. The other component of the state library is the Indiana Historical Bureau, and they are the state history storytellers. One of their initiatives is the statewide historical marker program, as well as publishing a wonderful blog and awarding the Bennett Tinsley History Writing Award. And so then the third part of the Indiana State Library is the state print collections and services for the public. We're a library. We're actually a real library. So the state library print collection includes the Indiana collection, which is the collection I work in, the Young Readers Center, which includes Center for the Book, genealogy collections, manuscripts, a general collection of books on a variety of subjects that once supplemented public library collections and supported the work of state agencies. We have a federal documents collection that's part of the FDLP program. The State Data Center, which is an affiliate of the Census Bureau, as well as the Talking Books and Braille Library, which you're probably familiar with out there in library land. So there is a lot to explore in our print collections here at the State Library. We are a state agency. So we have state agency office hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. We're open to researchers and the public. We're also open the second Saturday of the month from 10 to 4. And we're located downtown on the state agency campus, right between the State House and the Historical Society. Ask a Librarian, there's a little icon there. That is our fast and easy way to ask a question and chat during library hours with the librarians. Or you can send a more detailed email and it will be assigned to a librarian to answer your question, and we will try to answer that promptly. And then finally, our website, I put the URL there. There's so much to explore on the website. It's a massive website with loads of information. So after my slideshow, I'm going to navigate the site just to give you a little orientation of where to find things online. So today I'll be talking just about the Indiana collection at the State Library. But to be clear, genealogy and the manuscripts divisions also collect material about Indiana, but they collect with a more dedicated focus. For example, manuscripts holds unpublished works, photographs, personal papers, correspondence, and things like that. And then genealogy collects to support family history research. So anyway, okay, a touch of history here. The State Library was established in 1825. So yes, it's our bicentennial year. Yay. We were originally located in the State House, and the collection focused heavily on items of legislative and judicial nature. And as state government grew, so did the library and the collections. In 1913, the Indiana History Collection was officially established. So collecting of that kind of thing was already happening. Some of the oldest items are legislative books dating back to statehood and territorial days. Other executive and judicial government publications. We have maps showing the land before it becomes Indiana. Newspapers from territorial days, such as the Vincennes Western Sun, dating back to 1804. So our most popular items have coverage spanning hundreds of years, and those are good for showing change over time. The collection can support a wide array of research needs, from curiosity about your house history to school projects and scholarly articles and books. Maintaining this old collection is one of our most crucial responsibilities. On the slide here, you can see a picture of the State Library shelving. That's about 1912. So, this is an AI rendering of what our staff looks like. We don't exactly look like that. But we have a staff. The Indiana collection has a staff of 4 librarians, and while each of us can assist with a variety of things, we do have specialized roles within the collection. So let me just introduce you real quick. Andrea Glenn is our state documents librarian. Monique Howell, me, I work with the maps. Chris Marshall is our Indiana Division Digital Coordinator, so helping get things online for everyone. And Dave Pleiss is our newspaper librarian. So, okay, so I'll provide an overview of the division collections and kind of discuss how we're working to make them more accessible and how you might help enrich the collections as well through donation and utilization. Okay, so let's jump in. So one of the collections that we collect, or type of things we collect, is fiction. So our Indiana authors collection is fiction, just Indiana authors or stories set in Indiana. The collection aims to hold representative works that celebrate the literary tradition in the state. So I do admit it's kind of a difficult collection to curate. While we do accept some self-published works, we can't give a home to every self-published title in the state. So if you have any hot tips about local authors in your area, let me know, because it's just hard to know what's being published and widely received. So some of the criteria we use for selection is the work being reviewed nationally, regionally. Is the author going on speaking engagements regularly and kind of contributing to the field? So shown here is a first edition of Ben-Hur, and also this is Kurt Vonnegut's second novel, Sirens of the Titan. It's got a fun pulp cover there. So okay, so Indiana authors and fiction. And so one of the other things we do, and I'm not going to talk about the Young Reader Center a lot today. I'm going to talk more about the historical collections, but the Indiana Young Reader Center is kind of an extension of the Indiana Authors Collection, and they collect picture books and children's books with the same Indiana authorship or illustrator. Okay. So the other thing that we collect are biographies and local histories. We have a county history collection, and we refer to that collection of books dedicated specifically to one county as the county history collection. So this differs from books on the history of Indiana or the Midwest as a region. And the items in the county history collection will be very specific about people, places, and events as they relate to that county. So this collection is a great place to start while researching family and local history. And I know a lot of public libraries around the state have an Indiana room that collect similar material for that county. We try to collect for all 92 counties. So if you make a trip to Indianapolis and visit the library here, you'll be able to research statewide materials, local history materials. And so to supplement those published histories, we also have a lot of items in the collection to use for cross-reference. City directories from all over the state, telephone books even, high school and college yearbooks. We also have a really amazing pamphlet collection that includes a lot of local history things. So Chris Marshall's digitizing heavily from that right now, and later I'll navigate the web and show you some of that collection. But it contains a lot of local pamphlets, church histories, club histories, brochures for local attractions, and even some really early phone directories that are so slim they're almost pamphlet size. So while everything in our collection is cataloged, not everything is findable in the catalog, if that makes sense. We do have an indexing platform called Legacy, and I will show that later too. But it allows us to index biographical and subject material found within serial runs held in the catalog or in the collection. So Legacy also serves as a holdings guide for the high school and college yearbooks and also the newspapers on microfilm. But additionally, there are also holdings guides on the webpage by county. So those are useful if you're interested in a particular county, and also the county history collections, city directories, and maps collections all have holdings guides online. We love a good holdings guide. So how can you help us build this collection? Well, a lot of what I miss out on is club and trade catalogs, like Indiana manufacturers, perhaps church histories, anniversary publications of those local clubs and institutions, um, local Chamber of Commerce publications, basically printed matter that might have been distributed locally but never sold or not even widely distributed. That's really what has built up our pamphlet collection over the past 200 years. We are a forever library. We don't weed. So if you have things in your library or even in your homes that you're like, this might have research value in the coming decades, don't be shy about reaching out and asking if we want it, because once we take something in, we'll catalog it and make it findable to researchers. So it might get access that way, where if it's, just in a file cabinet somewhere, it's not going to see the light of day. So that is how you can help us grow that collection. Okay, maps. So I'm the accidental map librarian in that I have no background in geography or GIS, okay? But I do love the map collection, and I've been working on it on little projects within the collection for a lot of years. A couple of years ago, we received a grant to conserve and digitize the large county wall maps. So we've been able to digitize almost all of our county maps that show landowners that we can. So now I'm moving on to digitizing city maps, which some of those are really neat. Detailed maps of towns and cities. Let's see, I don't really digitize statewide maps that much because a lot of those are already available online through like IU or Library of Congress or the David Rumsey collection. But regarding current collecting, we don't buy many maps. The only maps that I purchase are the county plat atlas books, and only when they're available. Some counties haven't had those updated in many years. Those are represented like kind of the map that you see on the screen there, where it shows the acreage and the landowner there. But if you have print maps of your communities that you want to get cataloged and stored here at the state library, I'd be happy to take a look at what you have. We have flat storage and the ability to catalog them, possibly digitize them going forward. And again, just making them findable to researchers, I think, is one of the more important things. Okay, newspapers. So newspapers is one of our biggest initiatives. Um, as you know, newspapers pile up, right? So now imagine taking newspapers from 100 towns in Indiana. It becomes a lot of material pretty quickly, especially when you consider the frequency of publication. So we do attempt to archive on microfilm as many local daily newspapers as we can. Um, I'm going to do a giant pause right here because there's also a giant yikes. Our LSTA grant money is not sorted out right now. So we've actually paused the microfilming, but a stopgap measure of that. So you can see all of the newspapers piled up there between those boards pressed. We used to send those to the state imaging lab to get them microfilmed from the print. Well, maybe like a year ago, we stopped taking in print subscriptions, and we're working with newspaper publishers from all over the state to send us their PDFs of their daily and weekly issues. So we are still going to be collecting those, even if we can't archive them on microfilm right now. Hopefully we get that rolling again shortly. Microfilm is really still our preferred archival method for newspapers, for long-term archiving, and digital is a perpetual cost that we just can't assure, and the infrastructure as well. So microfilm puts the physical items in our hot little hands for care and keeping. And I mean, I know microfilm pales in comparison to digital access. And making them searchable. But we do have some efforts going in that regard as well. So Justin Clark, who you might know, he works in the Historical Bureau, and he runs Indiana Memory and Hoosier State Chronicles. So Hoosier State Chronicles is one of those ways that we can make newspapers searchable and findable online. And the other is working with newspapers.com, which is available via Inspire. So that's built off of our microfilm archive. So the decades of work that the Indiana Division librarians have been doing continues to benefit. We sent out thousands of reels of film to be digitized by newspapers.com. And in return, those are all free and accessible to Hoosiers via Inspire. So if you go to Inspire and scroll down to the big N, that's newspapers.com. And if you click there, you get free access to those newspapers. If you can't find what you need, we do offer research help through our Ask a Librarian service. And then your library can also request to interlibrary loan reels of film for titles that haven't been digitized yet. So when we send the reel to your library, it has to stay in your library. So before you initiate that loan, make sure your microfilm machine is working. Maybe you don't have one, then that would not benefit your patron to have the reel sent to you. They can come visit us, or we do offer to make scans for folks for a small fee. Obituaries are $5 an obit. But did you know that if you're a librarian working in Indiana, you get free scans from us for work-related things? So let's say you're putting up a display or an exhibit and you want to scan out of a newspaper, we can provide that for you. That kind of thing. If you're doing a local history blog and you wanted to put a scan of a paper in or something, just let us know. We can help you with that. So Dave Pleiss is the newspaper librarian. Jot that name down if you have any questions related to newspapers. Okay, the other thing we collect heavily are state government docs. So what are state government docs? Documents. That would be agency reports, state executive agency reports, laws, the acts and the code, the House and Senate journals, which show like which bills are introduced, maybe not the full text of the bill, but at least a digest of the bill, who voted for it, that kind of thing. Study commission reports, grant-funded reports that state agencies do. All those things are considered state documents. Not to be confused with state records. So state records are more unpublished working documents, internal memos, things like that. And those live at Indiana Archives and Records Administration. We just call archives. And that would be based on archives retention schedule. But the quick rule is if it's published, the state library gets it. If it's not published, it goes to archives. There is some blurring there, but everything's findable. Just either ask us or ask them, or we'll point you to them or they will point you to us. It's fine to not know. We don't always know. So what we traditionally receive are state documents meant for distribution to the public. So they're meant to be informative, meant to report on state agency initiatives, things Hoosiers would want to know about, where their money's going, that kind of thing. So those become state documents. So Indiana does not print that much anymore. This is happening in many other states and even federally. A lot of things are digital born. So to keep pace with digital born state documents, we've moved to harvesting agency reports using Archive-It web crawlers. So what I've got here on the page is just a screenshot. I'll go to it later when I go out on the web. So this collection contains captures of state agency web pages and then their linked publications, such as those annual reports, newsletters, plans, brochures, fact sheets, and other online content that we would have traditionally received in print. So this essentially builds into the Wayback Machine, but Archive-It allows us to choose the sites we want to crawl so we can curate those and make priority documents to collect, create collections, add metadata, and ideally, some of the priority documents, the reports will also be added to evergreens so they would be findable in the catalog. We are a small operation. Andrea Glenn is doing all of the Archive-It work basically herself. So that's a slow process, but hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see more and more things going into Evergreen. Until then, you can always search our Archive-It site here. As you can see, there's 102 collections going. That's basically a collection for every state agency. Still talking about state documents, one of the best subject guides we have online, and I use this all the time, many times a day, is the Quick Guide to State Documents. It's divided into 3 parts, the branches of government, and it shows what documents these branches produce and where you can find them. So a big kudos to Andrea Glenn, our state documents coordinator, who created and maintains the page. This is a screenshot. You can see at the top there, you can see where to find executive orders from the past, which ones are online, when you might have to go to a different source, such as the Indiana Register, or prior to 1978, contact state archives. Election returns, other additional agency reports and publications year by year with links when available. So she's really great at making those guides. So the other thing, another really helpful guide that Andrea's put up is the Indiana Building Code Rules Guide. That's also findable on our website, but that's been helpful to me over the past couple of years immensely. So, but yeah, so Andrea is great to reach out to when looking for laws, legislative information, government-related questions. Okay. Digital collections. One way we preserve the original documents is to digitize the material so that researchers can access without wear and tear on the originals. It also improves access, of course. So our digital collections are created from our print collection. And over the past 10 years, it's grown into a really amazing site to explore. If you haven't yet, I put the link up there. It's pretty easy to remember, digitalcollections.library.in.gov. Um, Chris Marshall is our digital collections coordinator, and he's hosting a webinar in July, actually, for a What's Up Wednesday with Justin Clark of Indiana Memory to talk about how to decide what to digitize and best practices for doing so. So that's July 23rd. So check that out. I know there was a lot of chatter on the listserv the last few weeks about digitizing local history material. So that's great that a lot of you are interested in doing that. That's important stuff that sometimes slips through the cracks. Okay, so that's really the Indiana collections in a nutshell. So this next part is short, but I did want to mention some services that we offer, and then I will exit the slideshow, hopefully share my screen still, to demonstrate some website navigation that I think is helpful. Okay, reference services. We can help you or your patrons. Don't hesitate to call, email, or chat online with us. I already mentioned about the scans. Good. I've even done chats with librarians where they have the patron in front of them. That works sometimes too. Or you feel free to send your patrons our way or wait until your patrons left and ask. Either way, we'll try to help. Tours and programs. So it is our 200th anniversary. So we're offering more tours than ever right now, but we're always open for exploration. We're in a beautiful historic building downtown. It was built in the 1930s. We can offer architectural tours, behind the scenes tours. You can see the stacks and how the sausage is made for the digital collections, things like that. And we can also do research tours. Say you have a genealogy club at your library and they want to come spend the day. We can organize something like that. You can come for an in-service day and spend a day here at the library. If you lead a scout troop, a youth group, we'd be happy to have you. Come on in. And in programming, also, we have a slate of programs that we can offer to your library. We may be able to come out and present in person, or we can do Zoom things. We offer a lot of genealogy things, bibliographic instruction, and history programs. It's a different slate of programs than Kara offers with the professional development office. It's more history, library related things. But let me know if you're interested and I can send you our menu, so to speak. Okay. Donations. We work pretty heavily off of donations. Maps, local publications, brochures, catalogs to, local manufacturers, things like that. One thing I will say, like, if you have a local attraction, I don't necessarily request the flyer every year, but to have something representative in the collection from around the state, I think would be great. And some of those things I just can't get because they're not for sale, but you probably have them. And if you think of it, you can send them my way. Okay, so thank you. I'm gonna exit this screen pretty quickly and then go look at the web for just a few minutes. But this slide is just kind of my philosophy of how I deal with our collection. It's kind of a balance of knowing what to expect, right? And then also always finding the unexpected. Kara and I were talking just before this about we don't know everything in the collection off the top of our head. So sometimes we discover some of the neatest things when people ask about something kind of obscure they found in the catalog, and we'll go look at it and be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Let's digitize this. Let's blog about it. Let's make it available because it is a very cool collection. It's been around for 200 years and hopefully 200 more. So we will be retired by then. Okay. Okay, let me try to end this screen sharing. And
There was a question.
uh-huh.
Do you have a listener specifically for Indiana collections?
A listserv?
Yeah.
No. We do blog, and we do social media. But that's probably, yeah.
I'll put a link in.
Super. Yeah, follow us on, we do Facebook and Instagram. I think Facebook we're most active on. But can you see my website? Okay. So this is our homepage, and it's massive, like I said, but I do want to show you. Oh, chat, no thanks. So that widget will pop up all the time, but you can search our catalog here in the middle of the screen, that we're part of an evergreen catalog. But I wanted to point out, if you go to catalogs on that left-hand menu bar, you see catalogs, but if you scroll down, you'll also see the manuscripts catalog, which is in archive space. So I wanted to point this out because there's a lot of Indiana related material here too. So if you look at collections here at the top, you'll see over 6,000 manuscripts collections housed here at the State Library. Over 3,300 subjects here. All kinds of things. So like let's alcoholic beverage industry in Indiana. Vincennes Brewing Company. This collection includes a coaster and a sticker from the Vincennes Brewing Company. So manuscripts really allows us to collect little things like this, really neat little things, allows us to collect and organize things that you might not think. So tiny collections like that, or if you look here at the Jonathan Turley papers, this is a collection that spans over 100 years, has multiple folders and boxes of correspondence. So I do bring up the manuscript collection because they also collect Indiana material, and there's all kinds of tie-ins to the Indiana Division collection. They actually used to be part of the Indiana Division, but they branched out, which is good because they collect things quite differently than I do, and storage as well. They box everything up where we can use shelves and things. I did want to show our archive it page. So this is the live version of our archive it page. Again, you can see there's over 102 collections, and then each of those collections, what Andrea Glenn does is then curate the seeds that she crawls, the individual URLs. So like, let's say we'll go into the agriculture right here. You can scroll down and see the kinds of things we're getting. So this publication here, Inventory of Lost Farmland, that is almost definitely the kind of thing that we would have received in print. But since it's digital born now, you can find it here and it will be archived here, and then hopefully soon findable also in the catalog for some of those priority documents. All right, I also wanted to, so we're back on our Indiana State Library main page. Scrolling down, you get Hoosier State Chronicles, our digital collections, Inspire here, where you'll find newspapers.com. I also wanted to show Indiana Legacy. So this is, it looks homemade because it is. It's a homemade indexing platform that allows us to kind of guide users deeper into the collection. So if you go over here to list of indexes, the Indiana collection will index biographical material that we find in a lot of the serials we hold. The newspaper microfilms holdings guide is here, so you can search what we have on microfilm downstairs in the cabinets. I think it's easier to do it this way than it is to search in Evergreen. I love Evergreen, but it's sometimes easier to make a guide. We also have the high school and college yearbook collection listed here, so you can search by city, by county, by school, and see what we hold. Also, the magazine subject index. It's similar to the biography index in that we will go through serials that we get and index from those to hopefully make Indiana history and Hoosiers pop out. So you won't be finding those in the catalog specifically, but you might find them indexed in these things. So I think it's pretty cool. Let's go back to our homepage here. Last but not least, I want to just show you our division homepage. So if you go under collections and services, look at all the things the state library is doing. Okay, but if you click on Indiana collections right there, so we've got our three main sub collections: newspapers, government documents, and maps right here. You can just click for more information. Scrolling down, you'll see some of our collection guides, and those are things we work on all the time. Hopefully that will help you explore our holdings a little bit easier, and research tools. So like the subjects guides that we work on and that kind of thing. And also our contact information. So I think that's all I have.
Let me see. I think we kind of answered the questions as we went. Michelle hopped in and answered some, and I answered some.
Super.
Does anybody else have any questions for Monique about what she's talked about?
Yeah. Oh, sign up for the blog. Yeah, the state library blog. I think you can follow on that. Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you.
Well, thank you. I will be sending out certificates to everyone who was here. So watch for that. Monique, thank you so much for sharing all that information. It's just overwhelming, but also fascinating.
You're
to have
welcome.
so many of that.
Okay,
Okay.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks
See
for
if
having me.
anybody else has any questions. Nope. Thank you. Thank you. Great
Sure.
information. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Talk to you and see you soon.